Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. A lot of people are angry. Muslims are frustrated. And rightly so. Our Muslim brothers and sisters are being killed without committing any kind of a sin. They've just been caught up in the mix between two opposing armies. Now, a lot of that frustration and anger is then channeled towards the rulers and the governments, Muslims and non-Muslims alike, whether they're in the Middle East or otherwise. Now, in order for us to understand exactly what's going on, it's really important to understand some basics when it comes to politics. Now, I'm not going to claim that I'm some kind of politician or political analyst. In actual fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. It's not permissible for a person to speak if he is not an expert in that area. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us to go to the people of expertise if you don't know. The only exception in this is unless you have haqqul yaqeen. If you've got some kind of fact that you want to relay about a topic, you don't have to be an expert in that topic. You've got a fact with you, which is knowledge to us all, then you can benefit people. Otherwise, this is an issue which is for the experts. What I'm going to say here right now is obvious to us all, and it's common knowledge, but I think it's still something that we need to remind ourselves of. Another principle before I get into what I want to say. The ulama of usul al-fiqh have got a well-known principle. Al-hukm al-shay, the ruling on something, far'un min tasawwuri, is based on your ability to put yourself in the situation. If you are not putting yourself in this situation, then it's going to affect your ability to deduce what the ruling and the outcome should be. That's why what I'm going to say here right now is really important. Yes, there's a lot of anger. Yes, innocent people are being killed. Yes, there is a humanitarian crisis. But we have to understand that there is no ruler and there is no country that will get involved in the international politics of another country unless if it serves a purpose to their own country or averts some kind of harm from their own country, or by getting involved, it will not put them in harm's way. Therefore, in this conflict here, you're going to have good actors, you're going to have bad actors, you're going to have interlocutors. All of that is conditional to what that government or that ruler thinks is in the best interest for either himself or his own country. So, people are getting involved, some people are not getting involved. Some people are calling for a ceasefire, and some people are saying, well, they've got a right to defend themselves. Why is all this happening? There is no country that is talking about the topic here except that they are thinking about themselves first. Now, you might think that that's not correct, but that's the reality. Innocent people will die. This is because certain countries are either getting involved for their own interests or they are not getting involved. And whilst all that's going on, the conflict will always remain, whether it's this one or any other. That's the first thing I wanted to say. The second thing I want to say, now this is really important when it comes to us here in the UK and in the West. Our politics is based upon democracy, and a fundamental in democracy is that everyone has the right to do whatever they want. You can say what you want, you can wear what you want, you can have whatever sexuality you want, you can have any religious belief that you want, you can do whatever you want as long as you do not harm anyone else in doing so. Now, currently here in the UK, they're reviewing anti-terror laws. What is terrorism? What should be included in terrorism? What makes a person an extremist and a radical? Now, I want us to understand this really well. Right now, you've got certain freedoms, and if you don't use those freedoms correctly with hikmah and knowledge and actions which are beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those freedoms could be taken away from you. Quite frankly, I have to say, living here in the UK compared to other places, this government has been very, very generous to us. The political structure here has favoured the Muslims for a long period of time. If we don't use what we have in this country here in understanding the politics and how it works correctly, we could end up harming ourselves and generations to come. And even if a person, I'm talking about mainstream Muslims. Most Muslims are not radical. Most Muslims don't have extremist ideas. So going out to the streets or whatever it is that people are saying in, their social media or the different contexts that they have, If we are not careful, it could be that this actually harms the Muslim Ummah as a whole, the Muslim community here in the UK as a whole, and it could actually affect generations to come. And like I said, there are so many things that people can misinterpret, and you could end up saying something and not have the intention of being a radical, but because of the way that the laws are working, it could be that you could find yourself in a very difficult situation if we don't understand these principles in politics correctly and we don't use hikmah in understanding and applying. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He makes our affairs easy and He releases the people of Gaza from the oppression that they are facing. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He brings about honor and glory to the Muslims and all of those who are oppressed wherever they may be. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله على محمد.